What's up, guys? It's Keith Kelfus with the Untrapped podcast. I have an awesome guest for you today. Right now, I'm here with Tigran Gertz from Applewood Landscaping in San Francisco, California. And he has a multi-million-dollar landscaping operation. You might have seen his YouTube videos where he not only shows you the entire process of how they install luxury outdoor living spaces to the maximum, but he also shows you the before, the after. He shows you the mistakes that he makes in his business and how he quickly solves them. And it's high value shit. When I started watching his videos back in probably 2017, 18, 19, even joined his private membership group called the Goat Gang. So much to learn. I'm mostly impressed by his level of attention to detail. If you could pause any point in during his videos and look at a finished landscaping project, it appears to be there's not a single grain of sand out of place. It looked like a magazine. And I've also looked and seen the positive 5-star reviews. I've done some research on his company and I'm just impressed. And the one thing I also want to talk about is you could see him if you're watching this on Untrapped Podcast YouTube channel. He has his, is that a lime green Lamborghini behind you in your garage? Yeah. That's so awesome.
My garage.
So you've achieved a lot at, what are you, 27?
32.
Oh, 32. Yeah. Okay. So time is flying. Mm-hmm. Still a lot younger than me. Achieved a lot of your dreams already. And I also want to cover a few different things. You came and you made a video one time talking about how you struggled with addiction a long time ago. And you took that kind of behavior that you had and you channeled it right into positivity, into business, and just took off. You're a student, you research, you're an information sponge, but most of all is your speed of implementation. So I want to cover a lot of that stuff and talk about you, talk about your business and what's going on, Tigran.
All right, let's do it. I'm down. Hey, one thing before we get started, I want to ask, when did you start YouTube? Because I remember I was like 20 years old and I was watching your videos. I just don't remember when.
This would have been January of 2013, I think. My first YouTube video on this channel.
I was 23 then. Okay, that makes sense. I think you're one of the OGs of landscaping YouTube.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
For sure. Awesome. Well, I'm glad to know you personally. I'm glad to have met you many times. And I'm glad to be here. So let's roll.
Let's roll. I remember one time we met, it was 2018 Grant Cardone 10X Growth Conference in Miami. Mm-hmm. It must have been 24,000 people.
And yep. At the stadium.
Yeah. He pulled you on stage because you're also a student and you go all the way from his basic courses to his high level mastermind training events. And you've invested a lot of time and energy and money and you've implemented the things he's taught. One time you said to me, I know you said in a video, you go, listen, because somebody was talking shit in a comment saying something like, why are you always swinging off Grant Cardone, blah, blah, blah. You said, listen, Grant Cardone is a billionaire. And you pronounced just like that. And you said, how many billionaires do you know, even if they charge money, actually give you access to them? This guy gives you access. So you gave a solid, concrete, foundational reason why. And then he pulled you up on stage and you were wearing a very nice suit and he gave you the microphone and you spoke for a minute. And it pretty much, partly it was like you were giving a testimonial about your good experience with him and his stuff and his, I think, Cardone Capital. He took the mic back. All right. He's like, all right, you're good. Get off stage. Like almost because he's the fucking man in this issue. You stood there and you had more to say. He's like, all right, it's cool. It's cool. But you wouldn't get off the stage. So now there's 24,000 people watching. And you're like, no, I got more to say. He's like, hey, if that's your time. You're like, no. And you just stood there until he was like, his shoulders dropped. He goes, all right. Because you fucking would take no for an answer. And he gave you the mic back and you snatched it out of his hand. You weren't being disrespectful, but you like, and you go, I ain't done. Yeah. And the whole audience goes, wah!
Yeah, it was fun. That was really fun. I was actually very nervous about that. And a little inside scoop about how that happened. Grant went on a Instagram with me. You know how he goes Instagram live and you can invite someone and you can do an Instagram live with them for like a few minutes. And he did that. He invited me on and then he was like, hey man, we're going to get you on. We're going to get you on. I said, all right, this is awesome. So I started preparing. I'm like, what do I say? I can't just get in front of 30,000 people and just like not know what to say. So I practiced, I rehearsed, I had bullet points I wanted to cover. And day one, I went up to him. I'm like, gee, when am I getting on? And he's like, I don't know, man. That's Jared. So I go to Jared and I asked him like, hey, when am I getting on? He said, I don't know, man. I don't know if we have time. I'll get you on tomorrow. I said, okay, cool. The next day, same thing. I go to Grant and he said, ask Jared. And Jared was like, maybe tomorrow. And I was like, man, they just keep pushing me off. So it's the third day and I'm just so antsy because I just want to get it done. You know what I mean? I just want to get it over, because once you've been focused on something so long, you just need to execute. I just need to get it off my plate. If I bomb it, good. If I do good, good. Whatever it is, whatever the outcome, I just want it over. And the third day, it's like noon, nothing. They didn't call me, nothing. So I'm just, at this point, I'm just bummed. I'm like, it's 3:00. The thing was over at 3:30. And right after lunch, I go to his wife, Elena. And I said, Elena, Grant told me that I would be on to tell my story. And I haven't. I'm like, is there anything you can do? And she's like, I got you. Don't worry. So she was the one that pulled it off. So she texted Grant. She told Grant, she's like, get him on stage. And I got on at a very interesting time because it was the end of the entire thing. There was like 30 minutes left. And I was the only one that he brought up. And I just needed to say what I wanted to say before he shooed me off. But, you know, he's a very big personality. So when someone like that wants the stage back, because in the video, he's like, get off, Matt, get off. And I was like, I'm not done, son. And then he gave me the mic and everyone went crazy. So
I loved it, bro.
In that 30 minutes, I gained 2,000 followers on Instagram. It was crazy because he shouted me out on his story and boom. So and that's another thing. It's like, you don't have access to those people. I don't have access to those people. I feel like I'm really close with Grant, but not in a very like, I'm going to go hang out with him at home. You know what I mean?
You know, yeah, that makes sense. When I look at the pictures and I see you and him on Instagram when you're with him, I can just tell by his energy around you that there's a special place in his heart for you. I know it sounds funny. He really cares about you. I can tell for real.
Yeah. No, the dude is amazing. I love everything that he's done, and he has tremendously helped me. And he's helped also millions and millions of people. But one of the things is, when I was young, I'm sure you can attest this also, is like, we didn't really have an example. Like, who do we have to model after? Like, if you see someone and you're like, okay, I want to be like that guy. But I didn't have that in my life. It was usually always the wrong person that I modeled after. It was usually always the guy that had a lot of girls, had a lot of fun, had a lot of money, did drugs, drank alcohol, partied. Usually that guy. But it was never the guy that you can have all the girls, you can have all the fun. But if you just have a career that's going somewhere and you're very passionate about it, that is the right role model. I didn't have that.
So then you went right to like, okay, Grant. I was waiting for a while. Now we're talking about Grant Cardone for a minute. Because at first I didn't like Grant because I was like, I don't know, some brainwashing I had in my head. I was waiting for the rug to be pulled and find out that he was a bullshitter. And then as the years went on, he just became more and more and more authentic and genuine. And I read all of it, like, well, probably not all of them, but I've read probably 4 of his books, Landscaping and Running My Business. And God, he increased my sales and my closing rate. And almost to the point where I was over promising and under delivering for a couple of weeks, because I was promising the sun, moon, and the stars and anything to get the signature. And because of everything that he taught me, and I had to like slow my roll a little bit because we had a couple callbacks, because something about my cadence had changed and upgraded a little too much than I was able to deliver. Now, I never did anything wrong. I mean, we made everything look perfect at every landscaping job. It was just I was getting overly confident.
I agree with that. Yep.
One thing I see with you is your incredible sense of confidence that I know even when I would watch your videos, I would get this thought, like I was talking to you on the phone a couple of weeks about this before we planned this podcast. I was like, people watch your videos and they're like, how in the hell is that guy doing it? You're so confident. And I never see any bags under your eyes. You don't ever appear to be exhausted or stressed out. You're just very calm and controlled. Like you must be in a like transcendental meditation or something. Or
One thing I told you is that I get a tremendous amount of sleep every day. A lot of people think that that is the opposite way of being successful, but they say sleep 4 hours, you get more work done. But most of the time, people that sleep 4 hours, they're not productive. And when you're very well rested and very awake and alert, you're able to get more work done and you're more cognitive. So sleep for me is huge.
Same here. I burned myself out plowing snow for 15 years. And we had these bad storms in Michigan in like 2015. I was out for days on end. I wasn't home for weeks, sleeping in the truck, sleeping in hotel rooms, come home, sleep 2 hours, go out for another 36. And it broke something inside of me. So if I don't get at least 7 hours of sleep, I like to get 8, 8.5, sometimes 9. I'm a fucking mess, bro. But when I sleep good, I feel awake, cognitive, alert. Like you're saying, the decisions, things are cleaner. The processes are cleaner. And if you study sleep and neuroscience, that's a good question for you. When you sleep, do you close all the blinds and shades so it's completely black? Do you have a routine?
Yeah. So I have blackout curtains. I murder the place out and I go like 66 degrees.
So where did you learn about that?
I don't know. I just sleep better when it's cold, freezing.
Okay, in neuroscience and sleep studies and the Sleep Revolution book, and I've invested money to learn all this shit. If you turn the temperature down, it's cooler. You actually go into deeper stages of REM sleep when your body's colder, when you use blackout curtains. And sleep studies have shown that something as small as the dot from a light from a smoke detector on the ceiling can channel rods and cones in your brain to release chemicals to tell you to wake up. So you want it completely black.
Okay.
Invest in a high quality mattress.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, that's amazing because I don't know what it's been, but I've always liked to sleep in a very freezing cold room.
That's badass. I like the feeling of being cold. Now, I've been married we just had our 10-year wedding anniversary, and my wife likes it warm. So sometimes I'll sleep literally without the blankets and just cool. And I wear an eye mask when I sleep. So if any lights get turned on in the night or even the porch light outside coming through, I don't want any of that. I want it completely black. So after increasing the quality of my sleep, my productivity went up. So you can attest to this. So the next thing beyond sleep, productivity, it seems as though you've systematized your business where you have the sales and marketing down, you have the production down, which means you have the labor of the right skilled guys in the right organization. So the question is, what is the primary role that you play in your business now? And what is the role you played in your business to get to where you're at, to where you're doing these beautiful type of work and expanding rapidly and having the revenue to be able to profit margins to reinvest in equipment, have a business where your employees get paid well, like a living wage. And so what is the role that you play in your business and what do you focus on to make all that happen?
So at the start of it, it was very difficult for me to run the business and grow the business. And in the beginning, I always thought that if I was working with the guys, that, they would respect me and everything would be fine and the jobs would go faster and the quality would be better. And as I got older and older, I think it was like month 4 or month 5, one of my guys, he came up to me and he said, and he was a Mexican guy named Carlos. And I'll never forget this. He said, Tire, you working with the guys losing respect for you. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm just helping you guys carry pavers. I wasn't doing anything that was labor intensive or skilled based. I was literally just a helper. He needs pavers cut. I go take a paver, cut it, bring it back to him. And he needs a wheelbarrow. I go put some rocks in a wheelbarrow, some mulch in a wheelbarrow, and I bring it to him. So I wasn't doing anything skilled. And a lot of people, I posted a video like that on Instagram and everyone was clowning on me. They're like, the reason he said that is because he didn't want you there because of your skill set. And I didn't argue with them in the comments, but he didn't know I had no skills. I couldn't do anything. I was literally just bringing stuff to him when he needed it. But one thing that he pointed out was that the reason they were losing respect for me is because when you work alongside with your employees, they become your coworkers and you start making jokes and you start making comments and you ask him about his weekend and then you make a joke about his weekend. So I found myself calling them instead of señor, I was calling señorita. I was making little funny, quirky stuff, and everyone's having a good time. We're having lunch and this and that. And that's the reason why I had to pull away from helping them work, because those little jokes and those little comments, you can't help yourself. You know what I mean? Because Mexican people are freaking hilarious. They're very funny. And that's what I had to do. I had to pull myself off. And I was like, all right, dude, no more of that. So then I started growing the business by doing sales. I started growing the business by going out to customers and meeting them and seeing what they wanted. And in the beginning, it was really hard to close anyone. And that's one of the reasons why I started a YouTube channel. I did not start a YouTube channel to become a YouTuber. I started a YouTube channel because people didn't believe me that I could do their job. That is the only reason. I walk up to their house. They had a $50,000 job and they would say, this kid's full of shit. There's no way he's going to do it. And I'm like, no. I've done jobs like this. And I've showed photos and I'm like, you can come look at it. They didn't believe me. So what I started to do is make time lapses and make a before, during, and after. So now they had no doubt. They couldn't even question me because I used to just send them a link to the video and boom, done. That's really how I got started in the whole thing.
If I went back and scrolled back to your videos, at what point did you start talking to the audience instead of just the customers? How many videos in?
I think it was this first 2017 midway, because I had one video that just popped off and I got so many haters. people were just so mean to me. They were saying that I'm an idiot and I'm a bad person. And I was literally just trying to find out why. I'm like, why am I a bad person? Why am I an idiot? I'm just literally just doing a $20,000 little job. We just did mulch. And people were clowning on me because they're like, the design is stupid. Why would you design it like that? I'm like, well, I didn't design it. That's the way the customer wanted it. I'm just doing what the customer wanted because I'm not really creative in the aspect of artistic stuff. I can't sit there and draw a plan and make it beautiful. Like someone in my company, his name is Taylor. He's a designer. He's a very good designer. He's very artsy and he can come up with concepts and ideas and shapes. I don't have patience for that. But that's why I even told customers, I'm like, I'll do whatever you want. So we did. But people clowned on me and they said, I'm a bad person. I'm an idiot. And in the beginning, I always used to try to prove my point and try to prove them wrong. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm really a good person. But then I just realized haters are inevitable.
I know what you're saying. I have some videos that, actually, people want to know what it's like to have viral videos and get hundreds of thousands or even millions of views. And it's actually not very fun. You have mainstream America and people all over the world will pour in watching your video. And they aren't contractors. They don't understand what's going on in the language you speak or the struggles, and they'll just come in and just crush you, bro. Dude, I've got strings of like 1.6 thousand comments of somebody will say something they interpreted in a viral video of mine. And they're saying something bad about me that isn't even anything I even said or intended. They're just something that triggered something in them. And then other people that are triggered by that thing won't even verify it in the video. They'll just pile on and go, yeah, this guy's an idiot. He's a scam artist. It's like, so I've developed some pretty tough.
Keith, in the beginning, I'm sure that upset you, but now you know that is a recipe for a video to go viral.
Yeah, when things are very polarizing and it used to drive me insane because like you're sitting there trying to prove that you're a good person. And so, yeah.
If the people, when is this thing going to be posted?
Podcast? My producer, within 2 weeks, 3 weeks max.
So whenever you guys are watching this, if you go back to December 21st on my Instagram, you'll see a video that I did convincing why I convinced customers to do turf instead of grass. And if you watch the entire video, at the end, I said, turf is better for the environment. We all know turf is not better for the environment. However, I know that is a recipe for haters and people are going to comment. And I've already had so many comments saying, are you an idiot? There's no way. And then a lot of people would say, oh, you know what? I'm just going to turf my entire apartment. And it's just a lot of going back and forth. And that pushes a video to get more views and to go viral, to increase your reach. Because the more people you can reach, the more you can spread your message.
Do you remember Geek to Freak?
Yeah.
So last winter, I had a couple videos go viral. And there was this one video where I was ripping out shrubs. I was having a bad day. It was the end of the season. I was just done, man. And I have this trick where I take a Sawzall with Diablo blades and we just cut around the base of the shrub and pluck it out real fast. But I ran out of blades, so I went to Harbor Freight in the video and I got these crappy Harbor Freight jig Sawzall blades and they worked like dog shit. So I'm in the video and I'm fighting with it and I can't get it to cut and it won't cut and it won't pop it out. And there's so many roots and there's the type of shrubs and normally we could just pop them out. But in the video, I was being lazy, but I just knew if I spent a couple more minutes, they would just pop out. That little tiny agitation in the video, and I even said it, everybody was like, this guy's a fucking idiot. Oh my God. It just went viral of people just roasting me. And I was like, The funny thing was, I got on the phone with Geek to Freak and I told him this because I was worried about it. And now this guy has had millions of views, in the hundreds of millions, probably 1 billion, if I can be clear. So we were laughing and he said something funny to me that made me, I was full blown screaming, laughing now at this point. He's like, So by the time I got off the phone with him, I was convinced that I was going to actually plug this into my videos where I was going to be a total idiot on purpose, but act like I'm serious and like get to the point where it's like I'm 3 days on the same exact job, just trying to rip out a couple shrubs and getting like, you know what a pipe cutter is with the little wheel and you spin it around the copper pipe until it cuts the pipe. Like I'm literally putting a pipe cutter on the bush by the roots and spinning it around, frustrated, acting like that won't cut through the shrubs. Like purposely doing shit that will make people watching it go, oh my God, I can't believe it. He's a fucking idiot. How does he actually like doing things, not bad things on people's property, but, and I knew for a fact that shit would get millions and millions of views. And I was like, I can't do that. I got to take the higher road. So I guess there's a clear difference between saying something to trigger haters and then all out just being a jackass. Have you ever been tempted to all out do things in your videos like down to the line of like Mr. Beast and Logan Paul type stuff, just purposely piss people off and make them go viral?
Every video I try.
Give me an example.
Well, today, one with the environment, grass is for an environment. And there's been a lot of videos where we antagonize people to get them to react because, dude, most of the time, Instagram, you're scrolling, and I'm guilty of this too. That's probably one thing that I do too much is the stupid scrolling. And it's really difficult to get someone's attention with a very good positive video. Usually the more negative the video is, the better it will do. It's crazy because, well, look at the news. The news is super negative. And that just goes to show, especially in the 2020 era, we had just a whole bunch of negativity and people were glued to the screen. And that's when I feel like humanity was definitely at its lowest. And now with technology going up and up and up, and everything is getting more digital and crazy. Usually it's very difficult to get any kind of attention when it's a super good video, unless you're Mr. Beast. Then it's just not even comparable.
Yeah, what you're saying is true. And so Patrick Bet-David was on a video with Sean Cannell, who's a YouTube superstar, genius guy. He guy's amazing. He's worked his ass off to get to where he's at. He teaches YouTube. It's a YouTube tips channel. Patrick Bet-David from Valuetainment. He said something so profound. He was talking about like, what level are you willing to quote unquote sell out or break your integrity or go down this line to get quote unquote views and money? How far does that line go to where you're like, nope, that's it. I'm going to stay and restored in my integrity and create real value. And so I believe that there's plenty of entertaining things that you can do that aren't bad at all. And it's like you sneak the vitamins in with the ice cream. You do things that are funny and entertaining and they get a ton of views, but then you come in with something really positive and structured and informational and educational that people are like, oh my God, that's amazing. I'm so glad that guy made that crazy video because I was pulled into his stratosphere, his circle, and now he's inspired me to do something great and stuff like that. I think you've done that in a lot of ways when I watch your videos. Yeah.
Keith, I wanted to ask, like in the beginning, did you ever think that you would have a landscaping business? Like when you were first starting out, because your YouTube channel is called Landscape Employee Trap.
Oh, yeah. So this was very clear to me. I was trapped in dead-end landscaping jobs forever. I was a trapped landscaping employee, and I didn't know that it was actually way easier to start a business than to keep working a dead-end landscape job. So when I started the business, after I got it stable and got a clientele and got my bills paid, I was looking to start another new YouTube channel because I had been doing internet marketing and making videos forever. I just sucked at it really bad. And I took this 80-hour-long course by Evan Pagan called the Guru Home Study Course. That's a whole backstory, but it was fucking amazing. I spent the whole winter taking copious notes, glued in front of the TV and the laptop, learning all about internet marketing strategy. And when I researched on YouTube, the landscaping and lawn care field on YouTube was like, there was nobody there, just a couple people. It was a ghost town. It was wide open and I couldn't believe it. And then I started niching down as hyper specific as possible. I didn't want to go mainstream. I really just wanted to help people get out of a dead-end job. I was scratching my own itch. So I said the landscaping employee trap. That sounds insane to other people. They're like, what? Landscaping employee? What does that mean? Like, but to the guy who is the actual landscaping employee who feels trapped, it will ring perfect and make perfect sense to that guy. And that guy is Joe. He's 24 years old. He lives in a 1-bedroom apartment. His fiance or girlfriend is knocked up. He's about to have a baby. He's scared, stuck in a dead-end job, and he's scouring the internet looking to start a business. And he finds my videos. He watches my videos, binge watching them, cries, screams, laughs, and is totally convinced he can do it. And then within, 6 months, he's in his own full-time landscape business and he's set free from the trap. That was the whole goal. So all of these thousands of Joes started showing up. Yeah, that was the name of the business.
Do you remember what was the first thing that because I have courses, I have programs, I have Go Gang, I have a lot of things that I just show people how I've done things. But one thing that I remember, the first guy that reached out to me, and he's like, dude, I want to learn from you how you did it. And he's like, do you have like 5 minutes to talk to me? And I was like, bro, like, do you want to come visit me? Like, I can show you everything. This was the first person to ever reach out to me. And I was like, you actually want to learn from me? And he's like, yeah, your videos are insane. Wow. And I was like, sure, you can definitely come and I can show you whatever you need. And the guy drove. He was 2 hours away. He said, all right, I'm going to drive tomorrow and I'll be there. I planned a whole day. I was like, I'm going to spend so much time with you, take you to the job site, show you everything, take you a job box with me. You're going to see how I answer the phone. And I was actually more impressed that someone actually cared enough to even know what I had to say. When do you remember like the first person that reached out to you that was very interested in your knowledge?
I can't, because almost right away, people were pouring in the comments, saying things to the point where I was like, why are so many people commenting? What's going on? And then within, even first 3 months of the YouTube channel, when I put my email out there, I was getting dozens of emails. Within a year, I was getting hundreds of emails, people telling me their entire life story, people wanting to drive across the country to get lunch and come work with me for free and things like that. The response was so overwhelming that I don't even remember. It was just so much of it. And primarily because I was speaking so emotionally and pouring my heart out on camera to the point of some people being like, this guy's fucking crazy. It triggered certain people that were going through that specific pain.
And dude, like when I watch your videos, so especially in the beginning, it's very difficult to stand up to a customer when they say, Johnny, I want you to do it for this price. You tell them $1,000 and they're like, no, you need to do it for $700. And it's almost like they're doing you a favor by giving you work. That's the kind of vibe that is being put out from the customer. And in the beginning, you honestly have no choice because you have very little resources, you have very little skills, and you don't have a reputation. So you just take what you can get, as you should. But as time goes on, you have to be able to stand up for yourself and say, no, I'm not doing that. That's a bad offer. And then that's where the growth in the personal development comes in tremendously, because the self-belief comes in. You're like, dude, I can do this. I don't need this bullshit $700. I gave him a good deal at $1,000. Why is this guy capping on me and saying $700?
Yep. I'm going to be coming out with a whole course in the future. It's going to be my magnum opus. It's going to be called Know Your Worth. And I'm going to dive deep into everything talking about this same shit, bro. Because what can happen is once you finally wake up and learn your worth, there's many different levels to it. Obviously, you know your worth at a very high level. You can over-calibrate and overcompensate in the opposite direction and then become a dickhead. You can become somebody who is
out of touch.
Yeah. Too far. You go too far to the other side. And sometimes, as long as you're not doing anything wrong, not infringing on anybody's rights or ripping anybody, you're doing everything you say you're going to do. It's just an attitude that you can have for a while. I think if that's what it takes for you to recalibrate again and be a balanced person, a lot of people do that. Some people never stand up for themselves. They let people walk all over them. And then one day they wake up, they've had it. And now their best friend can be like, hey, bro, can you grab me that thing? What'd you say, motherfucker? Don't you? You're a bitch. And then they just, whoa. And then it's like, so what I learned is learning and growing, whether it be family members, employees, friends, when somebody's going through a process where they're growing or breaking out of their shell or shedding their skin, if they're being hard to deal with, of course, nobody has any right to fucking mistreat you or disrespect you. But at the same time, you can actually love and support or care about that person while they're being an asshole and be like, man, they're just going through this thing. A lot of times when a customer, we take things way too personal. I mean, dude, I'm talking a lot here, man. You're so present. So what about with you? I looked on your website. I think it's like you have like a $25,000 minimum. Has that gone up?
No, that's still accurate. That's only available when there's a lot of work booked out. So if there's not a lot of work booked out, if I don't have jobs booked out for 6, 7, 8, 10 weeks, then that minimum obviously gets removed, because in business, you have to put your pride aside. And when I would rather, a lot of people ask me, they're like, well, shouldn't you be booked out for months at a time? And typically we are. It's just sometimes you take your eye off the ball and you put so much attention on actually doing the work, and the crews are rolling. And then you look in your books and you're like, man, I only have like 3-4 weeks lined up. This is crazy. What happened? And that's when you really start to understand you need to work on your business versus in the business. This happened to me in October. I had, August, September, we had probably 2 months of work lined up for 4 crews. That's a lot of work. And the sales were going, but then all of a sudden something magical happened and everything kind of started to take a dip in the economy, and people were very reluctant to sign, and they weren't just go for it. Let's do it. And there's I'd say there's like 4 or 5 people right now that I'm still working on closing for the past 3 months. This one guy named Justin, his job was $200,000 and he was all ready. It was from a referral, 100% going to get this job. It wasn't even about price. He's very value oriented, but his stock dipped. He worked at Apple and his stock dipped. And he's like, dude, I can't sell my stocks right now. I'm going to get hit so hard. I need to wait. And that's exactly what's happening across the board. But luckily for me, I live in an area where the economy is very affluent and a lot of the people are tech people. So Google, Apple, Microsoft, IBM, I live in Silicon Valley. So everything where all your phones are designed, not made, everything's made in China now, but all the shit that's designed here, all the engineers, they all work here. And the engineers, they take the money from all these companies and then they invest into their backyards because they mostly have families. Engineers have families. And that's where you're able to grow and scale. But I saw a big dip in October. And that's when I said, dude, the minimum's got to go. I got to just take on anything. And I did. So now we're all caught up and we're doing really good. We're booked out probably until February.
That was very valuable. Everything you said, that was amazing. So you had 4 crews?
Well, I did have 4 crews, but I found it was very difficult to work with 4 crews. I have a project manager. I have a driver. I have 2 semi trucks. I have an office team, designer. Everything's set in place. But it seemed like when I got to 3 crews was a breeze for me. When I got to 4 crews, something happened. Mistakes started happening. And I don't think I was just quite ready for it. So you have to put your pride aside. Like I said this before, you got to put your pride aside and say, dude, if there is a problem, don't keep going with the problem. Stop the problem. So I stopped the 4 crews and now I'm back to 3 crews and life is amazing. Jobs are going perfect. Customers are happy. I'm happy. The driver's happy. Project manager's happy. Like everything is in order, organized. It's very, very profitable to do it like this. But I felt like the 4th crew always had a problem. They didn't have materials. And it wasn't just the 4th crew. It was either the 1st crew, 2nd crew, or 3rd crew. They were rotating, alternating problems. And, you know, in business, especially in our landscape business, problems cost money. Mm-hmm. Either you get paid for the problems or you pay for the problems. You got to pick.
Now, do you have a yard space or a shop?
I did. I have a very small yard space, but it's nothing. It's just to park like little pallets, or if I don't have anywhere to put in an excavator, I just throw it there, but it's under a bridge. In California, it's very difficult to get yard space. Super difficult. And if I were to get, how big is your yard? How many square feet?
No, I don't have one anymore. I got rid of it. Oh, it wasn't even a yard. I just rented a spot at a huge yard where a bunch of other landscapers and tree guys parked. And then everybody was getting their shit broken into and robbed, including me. Then I was parking at another place. I actually was trading off with the client because they had a lot of space. And so it was perfect. Now I literally parked the shit at my house for now. And I'm thinking about getting a shop or going back to a yard space just because I don't like having the shit at my house. I go outside when I'm off work and I look at it and it's all right there.
Yeah, I agree. But let's say I have a few friends all over the country and they say that a 2,000 square feet place is maybe like $1,000 a month, like a yard. And maybe with an office, probably maybe $2,000-$3,000 a month. Mm-hmm. But here in California, my office I rent now, it's a house and it's $5,000 a month. 3-bedroom house. It's my office. This is the car. Obviously, it's the garage. This is the whole podcast studio, but it's $5,000 a month. Every single room in this place is utilized. It has someone in it. And I think it's very worth it.
Wait, is this an office that you're at? Or is this, don't you live like in a condo or something? You don't live there? Or do you live there?
I live in an apartment, but the place I'm at right now is an office, but it's just a house. It's a house.
Ah, I got you. Okay. Yeah. So I remember in a video you said like, we don't have a yard. We're like nomads or something. We
traveling circus.
You go from job to job to job. So you literally, when you're done at a job, you just go park at the next job.
Yeah, I have no choice. And sometimes we're left in a very interesting situation where we don't know where to put stuff. And you have to get really creative. Where do you put the excavator when you don't need it? You got to figure it out. I don't know. But
wow. So it's like you're juggling, but you can never put any of the balls down.
No, like if I had, let's say I ran out of work today and I don't know where I'd put all that equipment. It has to go somewhere. So I have no choice. I have an obligation to the equipment and I have an obligation to my employees. Like
you got to keep the shit running, bro. That's awesome.
There is no pause.
It's like, I'm imagining like a flaming fire, like a fire. And then there's like fire can never go out, bro. That's amazing. Yeah.
It has to stay lit. Honestly, that's one of the things that a lot of people do is they give themselves an option B. And I don't really have an option B because I don't have anywhere to put the shit.
Wow. Okay. So right now you seem very calm, resourceful, relaxed. Are there ever fires to put out in your business? And who's the firefighter? Or
All the time. All the time. I'm very thankful to have really good people around me, and they take a lot of the weight off of me because I couldn't do what I do without them. So a lot of credit goes to the employees and the team. And it's just been a dream to have all the right people in my life. But somehow I've always attracted really good people in my life. And that has only happened when I started making good decisions. When I was a dirtbag, I was a shitbag, I was doing bad things, I was attracting bad people. And a lot of people, they might wonder, they might sit there listening, they might wonder, why can't I catch a break? It's because your decisions are garbage. You keep making the wrong decisions. And once you start being aware of decisions you're making, if you're out Friday at a bar and someone hands you a shot at 1:30 at night and there's nothing to do afterwards, are you going to take it? That will determine how your life's going to go. If you say yes and you take it, that's a bad decision. The answer is no, don't take it, and you go home and sleep. There is no reason to keep drinking when the party's over. And a lot of people, especially back in high school, I noticed that people just wanted to keep the party going when there was no more party. There's nothing else to do afterwards. Everything is closed. Everyone's going home. You don't have a girl with you. It's done. It's just you and dudes. Pack it up, go home. And that, when I started to determine my decision-making skills, then I was able to navigate correctly, but all with good influence. You need a good role model to teach you those things.
That's amazing. I want you to tell us a scenario and a story. When I was in your membership group, the GOAT Gang, I don't know how much you charge a month now, but I was in there for like a year. And I remember I spent a couple hours one day and I was watching. You came out and told this story about how you guys were doing this huge landscape job and the customer had a pool in the backyard. And the pool guy was doing the underground plumbing and setting everything in place for the pool and getting it ready. And you guys had to pour concrete and keep moving with this big, beautiful landscape. You had employees on the clock. You had materials being delivered. Like everything was ordered and sequenced. Yet you didn't know if that plumber had finished his job underneath the ground with the plumbing and you needed to lay concrete now. You were calling the plumber. I think you had the customer call. Nobody could get a hold of the pool guy and he was fucking MIA. And you had to make this decision. Like, if I pour this concrete and that pool guy wasn't finished down there, it's game over because now it's going to be concrete or something. And you had to make a calculated risk and bring in the cement truck and pour all that concrete and just cross your fingers. And then you finally got a hold of the pool guy the next day. And he was like, yeah, I'm good. You're good. I finished what it needed to be. And you're like, oh, and you talked about some of these costly mistakes to avoid. So talk on that. Yeah.
And what happened with that is, we couldn't get a hold of the pool guy, but if you have good employees around you, they talk. I think it was Jose. He reached out to one of the employees at the pool company. And the employee was like, oh, yeah, I did everything. It's all done. You're good to pour. That's why I made the decision to pour, because of the guy. But even though if we didn't have anybody to give us the okay, I don't think it would have been a very smart decision to pour. But that would have been an extremely costly mistake, because once concrete's in, it's game over. Like, that's it. And
so you did get the information. Yeah. Very important distinction. Glad for clearing that up.
Yeah, so I did.
What happened with that one job where you guys broke an underground water main or something and it was water going everywhere?
So with that one, you have to call 811. I don't know what it is by you. I remember in Illinois, it was like Call Julie or something like that.
Yeah, they have a bunch of different ones. We have Miss Dig.
Yeah, Miss Dig. So I called 811. They came, marked everything. Everything was good. In our dig area, he said, no, you're good to go. There's nothing here. And I said, great offer. Fantastic. So we started digging. And then we hit a lateral pipe going from the 1 foot main going to a 6-inch lateral pipe, and it was going to the neighbor's house across the street. And he didn't mark it. He didn't tell us anything there. So we started digging, and then boom. So we have a 1 foot pipe, and it's got thousands and thousands of gallons going through it every single second. And then now the water has a little escape route, and it's just shooting up like crazy. That video got 500,000 views on YouTube, and it was just a very raw edit. And luckily, I didn't get charged for any of that because I called, or that would have been probably a $5,000 to $10,000 mistake. And I've had 2 scares like that, never with a gas line, but once with an electrical line. We hit an electrical line and the markings weren't there. And the contractor before, when the person bought the house, it was like a rehab. And he poured over the electrical box, the concrete. So this guy poured the driveway over the electrical box, and we didn't know it was there. And we're digging, and all of a sudden, sparks went everywhere. and the house shorted. All the power went off to the neighbor, and there was crazy amounts of sparks. So I had to call the police. That was actually more scary than the water because I didn't know what they were going to do.
Dang. So what did they do?
They came out, emergency repair, and I met these really cool construction dudes. This guy, my first time ever seeing a underwater or a high pressure electrical, what is it called? High pressure washer with a vacuum. You ever seen those?
No.
Yeah. So they put a vacuum inside and they just pressure wash the dirt and it turns into muck and it sucks all this stuff out. So it's for utilities. And these dudes came out and they did everything at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. and they got it done. And they left PG&E, connected everything. And then that's it. They never charged me. Never got charged for it. So
wow.
I got pretty lucky.
So you're like, this is what happens when that happens.
Yeah. And here's the thing. A lot of lessons happen from mistakes, but the smart thing to do is learn from other people's mistakes so you don't have to do that. Like if you're watching this right now and you're out here digging without calling 811 or Julie and whatever, Miss Dig, like that is a disaster waiting to happen. It only takes one time. It only takes one time for you to just get hit with a $10,000 fine. And I know if I get hit with a $10,000 fine, I'll be fine because like there's revenue, there's money to pay for all those stupid little things. But someone starting out, if I got hit with a $10,000 fine when I started out, 2 months in, 3 months in, done. I'm toast.
Wow. So that's so good. Okay. So who's doing this? Do you have a sales guy or are you doing all the sales?
So Bree, and I'll give another credit where credit is due. Bree has been like one of the best things that I've ever happened to find. And she has helped me so much with the back end. Like I've always wanted someone to do emails and help me do bids and help me do office stuff and answering phones. I couldn't figure out how I can get someone to answer phones. It's very difficult because a lot of people, what they do is they have some call service in Philippines and they answer the phone, they take down all the notes, and then they send you an email of what the customer wants. It's just not a real touch. And I've learned that you need to have someone that is a real person living in America, speaking the language, understanding the culture, and seeing what the people like. And when you see them every single day, you start to build a relationship with them and they care about you, you care about them, like they care about the company. And she has been one of those people that just cares about the company so much. And she wants the business to do well because she knows if the business does well, she does well. I do well, employees do well, everybody does well. And to have someone like that in the company has been a tremendous help. And I don't know what it would be like doing business again without her or someone like her. It'd be very difficult, super difficult. There's a few key people in my life. She's one of them. Taylor's one of them. Coaster helps me with YouTube videos. And Cameron helps me with TikToks. So those 4 people, and also Jose. Jose is the project manager. He does all the stuff in the field. Without them, it'd be very difficult.
I love what you're saying. So you have an office manager, but it sounds like she's also taking the calls. And is she pre-qualifying leads over the phone?
Yeah, she handles all that. We actually have another girl. Her name is Tenari, but we call her Thanos. But she calls or she answers all the phones and she does all the spreadsheets. And job cost tracking has been one of the things that completely changed the business because I'm sure you know, sometimes you want to know how much money you made on a job. And it's really difficult to find out when it's only you doing the spreadsheets because you're out here hustling, grinding, doing this. And then you're out here buying a bunch of stuff to get the job moving fast. But then you go home and you're tired and you just want to eat and sleep and go to bed. And you don't have time to put in the spreadsheets to find out what the job costs. So you put it off for a day and you're like, all right, bro, I'll do it tomorrow. And then you do it another day. Before you know it, you're 2 weeks out. You haven't put in anything in spreadsheets and there's no way it's going to be accurate. So then you just give up and you say, fuck it, I'm not doing it. Mm-hmm. And then you just keep going and going and going. And as long as there's a little bit of money in the bank account, you're happy. You're like, okay, we're good. But I wanted to know for years, how much money am I making on these damn jobs? What is the percentage? Sometimes we do really well and sometimes we eat shit. But I would rather know when I eat shit, why did I eat shit? What did I do wrong? What happened? Was the labor too much? Was the materials too much? And 99 out of 100, it's never the materials. It's always labor.
So labor is very expensive. And because if you go to the top of all this, they say, sales cure all problems, but it's sales that are priced profitably, jobs that are profitably priced that take account for everything that you could incur, including mistakes and every single thing. So can you talk a little bit about your understanding of profit margins and how you got to this point?
So one thing is sales can be a very good thing for a business. I've had some people in Goking come in and they had a tremendous amount of sales. Young kids, 15, 16 years old, doing like double the amount I was. And I was just shocked. I'm like, dude, how are they doing this? Are they just so smart? And from the outside perspective, they were very smart. I still believe they're extremely intelligent and just risk takers, action takers, and they just commit first, figure the rest out later. However, I always noticed this particular person, let's call him Bill. So Bill, he had this big business doing first year, let's say when he was up and rolling, 5 million, 6 million. And then last year he said he was doing 10, $12 million a year. And I was like, how is this kid doing it? He's like, he barely hit puberty and he's having like real people that are older than him be salesmen. I'm like, how's he doing it? And upon further investigation, the guys that were selling, they were selling big numbers. Like they sell a pool job and a paving job and big rock slide. And they were doing $200,000, $300,000 jobs. But really those $200,000 jobs should have been $250,000 jobs. And that was the reason they were winning a lot of contracts, because customers were like, yeah, well, this guy has got a good reputation and he's $50,000 cheaper than the other guy. So they get the job. And then you're asked, you're doing 10 million, you're asked first time with the $50,000 job. Okay, that's fine. You can pay for that. You eat it again with another 50, another 50, another 50. Eventually, all those 50s are going to catch up. And all you need is probably 4 or 5 $50,000 mistakes. And everything goes south really, really fast. And that's exactly what happened with them. And they had such a good, promising career, but the whole sales thing and the not keeping track of the jobs really got to them. And the only way that you can have sanity in landscaping, because there's so many variables, is to keep track of everything.
So you're keeping track of everything. You're looking at what happened with that business and how the mistakes they were making. So there must be something you're doing to separate yourself from, to be able to charge. Are you nominally charged? Are your prices higher than those around you? Do you market and promote your business in a way that you become this aspirational company that they just want to go with you because they know it's going to be the best quality, so they're willing to pay more?
So I wouldn't say I'm the best in my area. And I wouldn't say I'm the worst. I would say I'm like upper middle when it comes to price. But sometimes people, like, we send a bid for 100,000 and sometimes people come back and they're like, you're the highest bidder. I'm like, okay, that's fine. What was the other guy? He said 50,000. I'm like, what? Oh, well, what about the other guy? 47. I'm like, how is that possible? Your materials are 25 grand. There's no way. It's not feasible. So either the other guys are not doing their math correctly, or the customer's lying to me, or they're not actually estimating on the exact same stuff I am. So I don't even try to argue with those customers. They say those things. I'm like, okay, that's fine. No big deal. Can you send me their bid? And 9 times out of 10, they never do. They just go away.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a huge topic right there. I won't get too deep into it, but thousands of quotes and several hundred where customers say things like that to me. My mouth just drops. I've even gotten so upset I've leaked out with an attitude like that's not even fucking possible. Like, how are you this fucking intelligent guy in his 50s who has a master's degree and lives in a $1 million home, and you live in this nice, and you have a family and you have a career? You think for a second that it's even possible that this other companies, he's like, and some of the customers like, I don't care. It's cheaper and I want the cheapest price. But that's that customer. Some customers want the highest value and they're willing to pay more. So there's all these different scenarios and it's a numbers game. And the more you narrow down specifically of your customer avatar. So I've grown a lot emotionally from it, but there's still a customer once in a while just pisses me off by the way they talk about it. It's just mind blowing to me how they think that, but they don't know. They have no idea. They don't have any data. They're not landscapers. They don't do what you do and they don't see all the numbers like you see them. So the first thing they're going to think from all this social brainwashing is that guy is just trying to make extra money, or he's, man, it's like an endless catch-22, but it doesn't catch you.
No, I don't really get bothered by it because one thing is you have to keep your pipeline very full. And when people don't want to do business with you, that's fine. That's their choice. Just move on. And a lot of people, they ask, they're like, oh, how many times you follow up with a customer? Dude, like twice, 2-3 times. They don't want to do the deal. They don't want to do the deal. Like I told you about this guy, Justin, before. And I've been following up with him for months, but he says, dude, I'm going to do the deal with you. I just can't sell my stock right now. So he's a person that I've always kept on the sheet because I definitely want to do business with him. Because if you go on my YouTube channel, you look, $500,000, this is what $500,000 in landscaping gets you in California. That job was one of my favorite customers ever. The dude was like, I think he was your age, Keith, like around his early 40s, 39, something like that. And he was a very successful real estate agent. And this guy, he has 2 kids and a wife. And he was like, dude, I just want a place where me and my kids can hang out. And we built him a pickleball court. I didn't do the swimming pool, but another contractor did the swimming pool. We did the deck, grass, everything, plants. And the job is amazing. Like, I would want to live there.
What's the name so people can look at it? This is how you, what, $5,000 get you?
This is $500,000 gets you. $500,000 gets you in California.
Tiger and Gertz.
Yeah. That video, like that job was my favorite job. And the dude was so cool. And he referred me to this guy named Justin. And I'm going to keep following up with that guy because sometimes it is not only the customer's decision to hire you. It is also my decision too. If I don't like the person, I don't want to do business with them. If I don't have a good relationship or we have a good vibe, if they seem like they're just trying out to get me, I don't want to do business with them. I'll just say no. But this guy, sometimes you meet people like that and you're like, dude, I definitely want a customer like this. It's going to be a very good experience for the 2 months that we're going to be there.
All right. So I have another question that's a little bit off the topic of that. I've always wanted to ask you this. This is the thing that when I look at like your business, because I don't do luxury outdoor living spaces or hardscaping.
Yeah.
You've got your tailor guy who does these amazing designs. Mm-hmm. Do you just send 1 or 2 or 3 different designs to the customer based off what they're saying? And the customer goes, I love it. And then the next question from that is, do you print out a big ass blueprint and just give it to your guys who know how to read it and they just make it to spec? How do they know how to do that? That's the part I don't get.
So that is one of the most important things when you want to go from doing $5,000 to $10,000 jobs to doing $100,000, $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 jobs, even $500,000. The most important thing is a set of plans. If you don't have plans, you cannot be profitable because the time will just be eaten so much on payroll and you'll be left there wondering why you haven't made any money or you're losing money because there's no set of plans. There's no blueprint. And Taylor is actually the one where he communicates back and forth with the customer, I think for several weeks. I think a very complex design can take 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks. It all depends on how fast the customer responds with Taylor. And when they have a really good communication, obviously the design goes faster, but there's just so many revisions that you can do, like 4, 5, 6 revisions on a job that's super complex. But after that's done, I don't really know too much about designing, but after that's done, and another thing, a lot of people might be like, well, why don't you know about designing? I don't want to know about designing. That's just too much time on my end invested into something that I'm not really interested in. Like, I don't really care about design. Taylor is a very good designer. I don't need to learn. I just need to trust him and just continuously give him leads, and he will close the deals and move forward. What I need to do is focus on marketing and closing deals. That's it. I just want to do a couple of things really well. I don't need to do everything extremely well. I just want to do a few things really well. And as entrepreneurs, we kind of have this idea that we need to be super, super good at all tasks. We don't. We just need to be good at 1 or 2. That's it. And you just need to be the best at it. Like, become the boss at those topics and you'll be very successful. But after the blueprint is done, the boys, this took a long time for them to learn how to read the plans. But I showed them, sat down with them, made videos, reading the plans with them. And it's not rocket science. You just take a little bit of time to take the plan home, put it on your kitchen table and study it and measure. And now they're very good. The crew leaders are super good at reading plans. Now I just give the plan to them and I go the day before we start a job with project manager, crew leader, and we just mark everything that needs to be taken out. They just paint everything with red paint, orange paint, white paint. And when the crew comes in, they just know everything that has paint, garbage.
So you build your way up little by little on something on the outside that seems so incredibly complex. It's just a series of broken down systems and steps. And in a monster job, it could be just a series of a bunch of small jobs put together into one big ass job.
Mm-hmm. It's just time, dude. Everything takes time. Like, I'm going on my 8th year and I just didn't think I'd be here because today, like, we had 3 job sites going, a driver that was just full-time driving around, delivering stuff. Jose was out here. I went to 2 job sites and I didn't go to the other one. I'm going to that one tomorrow, but I didn't think that so much work can get done without me because I was always the one job site pony. I always thought in order to be successful, it's just one job site. But I've learned you can add a couple of job sites as long as you have very good people around you. But I hit my breaking point at 4. I hit my breaking point at 4. I don't know what happened at 4 job sites. It was just chaos. I had to pull back, but I'll be back to 4 job sites. It's just I need to restructure and reorganize and make sure everyone is very well trained. It all comes down to training.
You went all in, bro.
All in. There's only one way to go. All in.
I love it. I actually want to wrap up here. This is good, and I don't want to overwhelm people. I want people to go check out your Goat Gang. Where can people find you?
So you find me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. It's all Tigran Gertz. It's exactly how it's spelled. And find a bunch of videos online. Just watch them. If I vibe with you, message me on Instagram. If not, then message me on Instagram some hate.
Well, I love it. And then how can people join the Goat Gang?
Goat Gang is in my bio on Instagram. And Goat Gang is a very, very interesting group. So I didn't think, like I told you before in the beginning, your surroundings are very important. And if you have people that are doing good things and they are very successful and they're progressing in life and they're achieving things that you might not think possible. So you get in and you see, wow, this guy from Maryland is doing good. Wow, this guy's from Long Beach. This guy's from Minnesota. This guy from here. Why are they so successful? Why are they so young? And they've been doing this for 5-6 years. How is this possible? And you start talking to them. You start befriending them. Maybe a guy that you live, what town do you live in? Where in Michigan?
Sterling Heights, Michigan.
Maybe somewhere in Michigan, another guy lives and he's very successful. And you reach out to him and he's like, bro, you're in Goat Gang? No way. Come hang out. Come over. I would definitely love to show you. And you go there, you meet him, you get a contact, and you see that this dude is actually the real deal. He has a company. He has people working for him. He has trucks. He has payroll. He has obligations. He has responsibilities. And you're like, well, I want that. So then you start to gravitate towards him and you start to model, mimic, and master everything that he's doing. And that's exactly what Goat Gang is. It's just a group of people doing better than you are, and they will help you progress into the future, because what's better than one successful person? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, it's not fun when your friend circle, you're the only one that's successful. And I found that in my own, when I was younger, when I was mowing lawns, comparing myself, like all the 18-year-olds back then, I had a little pocket money. I had a nice truck. I had nice mowers, nice equipment. I wasn't so like poor in my mind. And even though I was making like $600-700 a week, but 18 years old, $600 a week cash, that's pretty good. It's a great offer.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have role models when I was younger. And I was always looking for role models. I was like, how can I find someone that can teach me more about life? And I didn't have any of those people.
I love it. You got a podcast mic set up and everything. Do you have a podcast, or are you launching one?
Dude, so remember last week we were supposed to do this?
Yeah.
This whole thing was a disaster. So we finally got it fixed. We finally got it dialed in.
The lighting looks good. It sounds great.
Yeah. Now I realize I need to paint the ceiling. So now we got to do that. And after that's done, everything's going to be pretty good. But yeah, I wanted to have a podcast studio, and I saw you have one in your garage. And I was like, dude, I should make one in the garage. So I did. But I don't have a podcast name for it. I don't have anything for it. I'm just pretty much, this is like a studio. I just wanted a place where I can sit down and make videos.
I love it. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, sir. It was awesome being on the podcast with you and interviewing you. This will be out in a few weeks. Everybody check out Tigran, check out his videos, go subscribe, check him out on Instagram. And if you want to grow your landscape business and learn a lot, he's the dude.
Appreciate it, bro. And just remember, everyone watching, life is easy when you start making the right decisions. It gets easier. The only reason life is hard is because you make it hard. There's no other way around it. I figured that out, and everything pretty much got out of my way.
That's badass.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, sir. Guys, on Spotify or Apple, because we're on all platforms. If you're on Spotify or Apple, please leave the podcast a well-worded review. It helps boost the ratings, and we will see you in the next show.
Later.